Hi, my name is Alexander Anthony Barrera, and I am Lieutenant Colonel on the Secretary of State for Civil Defense of Rio de Janeiro, and I will introduce you to the Rio de Janeiro State Contingency Plan for Heavy Rains Summer 2021-2022. The Government of States of Rio de Janeiro, beware of the constant natural disasters during the summer, causing multiple disasters and hydrological consequences, as we can see in this image, and geological disasters, causing several loss of lives, material damage, and economic losses. Impacts on damage and loss for the population. With this, its development, the contingency plan, which is available online for download on the Civil Defense website of Rio de Janeiro, based on federal law, state decree, Sendai Priority 1 and 2, and Sustainable Development Goals 11 and 13. The federal law establishes the competence of the states for DRR, which are to institute the state plan to carry out meteorological, hydrological, and geological monitoring of risk areas in articulation of local government and federal government, and support, whenever necessary, the local government in survey of risk areas, in preparation of contingency plans, to dissemination of the prevention and alert protocols and emergent actions for the population. Complementing the federal law, the state decree established the responsibility of state agencies in DRR, which are promote the preparation and implementation of contingency plans, informing the action of each responsible agency. Establish a permanent response regime in the event of emergencies or public calamities that may affect several local governments, and perform the permanent monitoring the disasters that occurs inside or outside, but in the edge of the state, and in some way will impact its territory. Based on Sendai framework of DRR, the contingency plan targets priorities 1 and 2 to prevent new and reduce existing disaster risk by understanding and strengthening disaster government response. On sustainable development goals, the contingency plan targets on goals 11 and 13 by reduce the number of deaths and number of people affected and direct economic losses, and strengthen resilience and the adaptive capacity to climate-related hazards, prioritizing early warnings and mitigation adaptation actions. The state of Rio de Janeiro is located in southeast region of Brazil and has about 17 million people living in. To have better administration before and during the disaster, the civil defense divided the state into 11 regions based on the watersheds. The Contingency Plan aims to establish protocols, procedures, actions, and responsibility of the various institutions that make up the state system of civil defense and protection. With the purpose of supporting local government affected by disaster with DRR actions, it established a flow of operation and monitoring with the support of the State Center of Monitoring and Warning of Natural Disasters in Rio de Janeiro, transmitting information to the civil defense system and to the population. In addition, it established the matrix of activity and responsibility of agencies dedicated to disasters, facilitating the responsive actions during the disaster. Focuses on disaster scenarios using the Brazilian disaster classification and coding, established actions in heavy rains, floods, and landslides, the most common cases in the state. Let us see some examples of heavy rains.
Caralho, filhão, rasgou até os aparelhos da academia, olha isso. Gastando o carro, a casa já era. Olha lá, tá vindo de dentro da casa, tá vindo lá de cima. Caralho, viado. Ai, que doideira, mano. Lá embaixo, sem condição, ó lá. Já tem um carro lá na beira do rio, lá, ó lá, caindo no rio, ó. Tá vendo? Carro preto, lá embaixo, mano.
A flood example occurred this year.
Eu ainda pensei em ir embora cedo, cara.
And a landslide example.
Meu Deus do céu! Meu Deus do céu, gente! Meu Deus do céu, gente! Vamos embora, gente! Vamos sair daqui!
Gente, caiu todas as casas aqui na Frei Leão. Por favor, alguém consegue pedir ajuda? A gente não consegue ligar para bombeiro, ligar para nada. Caiu um monte de casa, tem muita gente soterrada.
It will establish two main parameters. One is disaster monitoring and other disaster response. For disaster monitoring, it was created the State Center for Monitoring and Warning of Natural Disasters in Rio de Janeiro, which performs meteorological, hydrological, and geological monitoring on permanent basis, as well monitoring of any incidents or disasters of natural or technological origin that occurs in territory of State of Rio de Janeiro or outside the limits, but in some way it will impact its territory. The monitoring will use a correlation matrix between risk and monitoring levels. The State Center will produce weather warnings, like heavy rains warnings, strong winds, and low relative air humidity, as well ocean warnings. Also will produce weather forecasts using meteorological systems. Others technological products The hydrological products are based on state watershed for monitoring. Then, a hydrological risk table was produced based on the expected effects according to the amount of rainfall. Monitoring of river courses and their levels is done permanently, and when it reaches the attention or the overflow quota, the population is warned. In geological products, a geological risk table was also created, and the state also installed the Hazard Early Warning Remote System in 13 local governments, which use a table of triggers according to precipitation of rainfall for community mobilization. Now I will show the Hazard Early Warning Remote System example.
A Defesa Civil informa: há risco de deslizamentos nesta área. Atenção, moradores, dirijam-se para locais seguros e pontos de apoio.
The system has several rain gauges to serve as parameters in risky areas installed with the Hazard Early Warning Remote System. Another way to warn the population is through sorted message system, which citizens can register to receive directly on their cell phone. The other parameters of the contingency plan is the disaster response. With this, it establishes a flow of communication and actions for the responsive levels, the active and responsibility matrix protocols, and use of technology to support rescue teams directly in fields. The plan established the setting up of Crisis Command Center to support local government during the disaster and in their recovery to normality, always focused on strengthening community resilience. And the Humanitarian Aid Request Protocol, all aimed at the implementation of public policy to disaster risk reduction. Thank you.